Have you heard about the latest and greatest technology being built around the DFW area? Generation Race Cars and JL Racing, located in Springtown, Texas, are now offering top-of-the-line, state-of-the-art Southern Sport mods and limited modifieds. Generation Race Cars and JL Racing can provide new cars, turnkey, complete bodies, shock revalving, and chassis updates, along with providing trackside setup guidance and a whole lot more. If you're looking at competing at a whole new level, call 817-528-2947 and ask for Justin today. You can contact them through the JL Racing Facebook page to learn more about Generation Race Cars. You put a ton of effort into your race program. Now take it to victory lane with GRC.
This is the Revved Up Sports Show with Bobby Chaffee.
We do have this nice little format that we try to follow every week. We don't usually follow it.
And Rodney Rodriguez.
Entertain me. Tell me something. I need to know something other than what I'm seeing.
Y'all ready? All right, here we go. Here's Bobby and Rodney.
Hello, friends. Hashtag Real Race Talk. It is a brand new Monday, brand new week, and I have a blue light on my nose from the door over there. That's okay.
You want me to go close the door to the studio?
Nah, it's all right. We'll figure it out. It's not
What's
a boogie.
It bouncing off of? Bouncing off the microphone?
I don't know what it is, man. All these lights that we have to do in here. You know, Bobby, I posted something today, way back when we were first doing this show, and we explored the video thing, and it was like, you know, I never was a fan of video. And back in those days, it was like just audio, and it is hanging right out of my nose, for crying out loud. I don't know. Showtime Bobby Chaffee here with us. Bobby, you run with this. This is killing me. I can't do this shit. I can't do this.
So welcome to the Revved Up Sports Show, everybody, on a Monday edition here. We're coming off a Cup weekend at Michigan, coming off a IndyCar race weekend at Nashville. Both of them rain delayed. Both of them a little lackluster in terms of performance and what we normally look for. Big race weekends all around, both in North Texas, Central Texas, and South Texas. So lots of good racing action there. Got a good lineup of guests coming up tonight here on the Revved Up Sports Show on the friendly program. We got Jeffrey Abbey coming up. We've got, who else? We got Brenda Kirby and one of our friends up north, courtesy of Phil Whipple.
Ryan Kuhn.
That's right, Ryan Kuhn. Going to be another one coming up. So those are our guests for tonight. So three big hot shoes to fill there this evening. So it's okay. I don't think anybody's watching yet anyways. It's all good.
I fixed a light. No, I didn't. Jeez Louise, which one is that?
I don't know. What's a blue light?
I'm just going to turn them all off.
Well, then it'll get really dark in here.
No, be all right. There we go. How's that? Sorry, Bobby.
It's still... Oh, you know what? I bet it's the blinds.
Probably so. Damn studio. Bobby, I failed you. I'm sorry. Second place is not good enough. Did you hear all that? We're just gonna let that ride right there. I can't do nothing about that. Great show coming up. Sorry for my little tantrum right there, but stuff like that drives me up the freaking wall. But the sun's going to go down because I think it is the outside thing. And it took everything that I had, Bobby, not to wear a cap after Gerald Boyd said that you look gray and I look thinning in the hairline.
Yeah, well, you know, Gerald can be Gerald sometimes.
Yes, he can. Hey, I hope that everything went well at Houston this weekend. I have not seen any updates. I've seen a couple of them that, it looked like a good count, apparently. I know weather was going to be an issue there, so that's
weather was going to be an issue everywhere.
That's right, except here, where we're at, because we get no weather whatsoever. But were you guys at Texana? Were you under a storm delay or something?
No, luckily not. It rained all around us, but it didn't actually rain in Edna. Forecast-wise, it was like a 60% chance of rain there on Saturday, but it rained in El Campo and it rained in Victoria. but it didn't actually. Luckily, it kind of split the racetrack, but it cooled everything off to make a really, really good racing surface for the late models.
That's good. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. And that was a fine race right there. It was good to see the late models out there getting after it, and looked like a good count. And I love those late models, man. It's good to see them on the racetrack. And anytime that you can have a good count like that, I mean, it does. And to me, I mean, especially after having been on the racetrack at Texana, so somebody messaged me on Saturday, as a matter of fact, when I was over at Coke Fest, and it's like, hey, are you upset about not announcing tonight? I'm like, hell, are you kidding me? I'm upset about not racing tonight, man. Last weekend I was racing, for crying out loud. That's what I'm missing. The bug.
It started. We knew all it was going to take was just one.
Didn't take much. It didn't take much, but yeah, it looked like a good show out there. And 37 looked like they had a good show as well. And all the regular tracks, all the weekly stuff. Before we dive in deeper, when you got here, Bobby, I was playing me some Olivia Newton-John, man. This is a sad day. This is a sad day when you start losing those. Did you see Grease?
I have seen Grease, yes.
Did you see it when it came out?
No. It might be the same age that I am.
Probably is. I saw it when it came out. I went to the Baker Theater in Lockhart, Texas, USA, the barbecue capital of Texas. And I saw it when it came out. The weekend that it came out, I went out there and watched that and saw it. I think I saw it probably about 2 or 3 different times that weekend. And it was because of, as my wife says, Olivia Neutron-Bomb. And, man, that's a sad loss. And she
actually, it's older than I am.
June 13th, 1978. That's about right. That's about right. That makes perfect sense when that came out, because
Elvis died in a week, August the 16th, 1977.
I heard our man Brian Fitzgerald, The Thing, one of the guys that opened me a door up to get into radio. He posted, I think it's either Xanadu or Let's Get Physical. Remember, Let's Get Physical. And I would play these tunes for you guys, but our shit would get shut down because that's happened before. But I would play those tunes, but I think one of those two came out on this day back in the day. That sucks. That's a tragic loss, man. That's a tragic loss. We're losing the icons. But got to give a big congratulations to my man Brett McMillan as he wins $5,000 at Big O Speedway in the factory stocks in the Eddie Prater Classic. He wins over Jimmy Gore and Dalton Faulkner. And how about that, Bobby? Another race weekend, and you have a massive factory stock feature race happening in this region. And that just goes...
I would say I'm surprised, but not really.
Well, and that's where we go back to. I mean, you talk about the factory stock count with you guys at Texana, and 37, they had, and that's just down here. That's down south. I mean, you had all of those cars up there. You had 34. Yeah, 34 that checked into the gate at Big O, and when it's all said and done, it's McMillan that wins, and that's, I mean, that class right there. And I saw our man Jake Wright's going to be jumping into a factory stock at Cotton Bowl this weekend, and that's really the class where you're going to hook them. I mean, that's where you get the guys in, and they will all soon realize that they're a little bit more than a factory stock.
Yeah, they'll realize it's a little more than just a stock car. What's going to happen. That's what's
it
going to
looks
happen.
like one.
Yeah.
It looks like one. And looking underneath them, I mean, my dad.
It's the same price as a truck.
Pretty much. I mean, my dad was at the racetrack like I talked about last week, and again, I want to give big thanks there to everybody that allowed me the chance to race at Texana last weekend. My dad was he had heard about the factory stocks. I think he had seen them one time. And we're sitting there watching him in the stands, drinking that good $1 Miller Lite, and he's like, or I was, he's not doing that anymore. He doesn't need to be doing that anymore, for crying out loud. But he's like, what are the rules on these cars? And I recited the rule book for him, and he's like, okay.
That's fast. That's fast for those rules.
He's like, what you drove was a factory stock. I'm like, that was a good old street stock. But for Jake Wright to jump in there and have the opportunity to get out there and race, he's gonna enjoy it. I mean, it's the thing is with Jake. The funny thing is with Jake, what he's gonna realize to be out there, boss hogging, power steering, out there cruising around, HMP and all these other places. That's not quite what happens in one of these things.
Well, if he gets a dry slick track, then it'll be okay to get more to his liking.
Honestly, it's still not the same. It's still
Say,
because that's what I thought.
well, you'd have liked this track conditions they had at Texana on Saturday. It was about 4 grooves wide.
Oh my goodness, yeah, because I was getting kind of comfortable out there. But good show just across the board. I mean, with everybody, and it's just so fascinating once again to see all the racetracks in operation. And I do want to touch on something, and we have about 4 minutes, and we can come back to this. But we get into situations where, like last weekend, and like you and I were talking before the show, it's so hard with dates. You have a certain amount of dates that you're able to run, but when you have 37, and when you have Texana, or when you have 37 and the Race Ranch or whatever, it gets hard. It gets hard, and that's where, I mean, that we're glad that we have racetracks, but man, that is where it gets extremely tough because people are torn, and it's trying to figure out where to go. And when it comes to the money part, I mean, like with Texana the weekend I was there, I mean, there was a lot of money on the line. The pits were jammed, but it's dude, that's really tough.
It really is, and you can't have that amount of money every single weekend on the line. I mean,
Yep.
I guess that if you had a bigger sponsor base and all that, but I think the days of having all 5 classes every week or every other week or however often that you race have that much pay is long gone.
Yeah.
Because there's not the disposable income that there once was. I mean, I think Tony said he put in $1,200 and got back $1,600 because he had 3 cars in the race and it paid so well. So, I mean, that's what happens when you win winner and second place and ninth place. It's,
His third car sucked. His third car let him down. But yeah, no, I mean, it's really tough. And I mean, money does drive everything, and it doesn't really matter what surface you're on. I mean, that's really what it's all about. But anyway, Locked and Loaded edition, as Bobby talked about in the intro while I was trying to piss and moan about stuff. Let's go to that Lone Star Speed Zone hotline for the first time tonight. And of course, that is powered by Computer Age Automotive. And we are talking to our man, Jeffrey Abbey, CRS, a proud partner right here on the Revved Up Sports Show. Mr. Abbey, how we doing, sir?
Good, man. How are y'all?
Man, we're doing well. We're doing well. Thank you for taking the time out of what I'm sure is a busy schedule to check on this. We can talk about the whole business model. We'll talk about your driving and everything, but talk about, of course, King of the Hill. You've got the King of the Hill winner in the fold now. Talk about that recent addition right there to your camp, man. That's got to be a feather in your cap when you talk about just great performance with your team.
Yeah, man, we have a lot of good guys on our stuff. Justin, he was a really good addition to the CRS team, man. We look forward to seeing him in victory lane many more times. First weekend out on the new Bill Themes. And he picked up 10,000. Man, that's a pretty big deal. I think he's going to bring a lot of good people to our team.
Absolutely.
So what made you pull the trigger, man? I mean, obviously, a business decision is a business decision, but what was it that was not so much the final straw that broke the camel's back, but what was it that finally opened that door for you to take completely over this thing?
Yeah, so I've been doing it for Field and Shocks for a little over 2 years now, and we've been growing and growing. Wanted to make the move to Fort Worth, so I found that was the best way to do it, just to buy that deal out and become sole owners of it.
Yeah, that's a huge deal right there, and that really was a big move right there, and all of that. Jeffrey, talk about the importance of it, because we were just talking about, with factory stocks and pure stocks and street stocks, all that, how important the shocks are right now, because that right there, what you guys do, that is a game changer right there. I mean, if you want to run mid-pack, that's one thing, but you get into a great shock program like you have, that's when you start making strides, and that's how you move yourself up the pack.
Oh, for sure. When I first started racing, the sport mods, I think it was in 2013. I think I was 13 when I started running the sport mods on dirt. And man, we had mixed match. We had a little bit of everything on it, and you can't do that anymore, man.
Nope.
The shock technology has came a long ways, especially in like the factory stocks and stuff. You don't have any weight jacks to adjust any of that. You can't adjust any of your trailing arm angles. You got your shocks and your springs, and that's basically it.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about the factory stocks. Obviously, we joke all the time that says there's not too much stock parts about a factory stock left. But there's more parts than what people think with the speed that they have. But what about the growth of that class? Is it one of those, you've been around racing a long time, is it one of those that the money that class pays is what's building all these cars, or was it the cars first?
Oh no, for sure, definitely the money that these tracks are putting up for these races. That's what's going to build a class. It started out as a beginner class, and that's what it was for a while. And then you started getting these $5,000, $10,000 shows, and then you got guys all over coming down to the factory stock to build cars and go race for all that big money.
Yeah, no doubt. So your thoughts on that? I mean, when you start thinking about, because we see that with folks getting into the factory stocks, the status of the modifieds and the limited modified sport mods, whatever you want to call them, you see a lot of folks that are gravitating to a factory stock. Your thoughts moving forward with the modifieds, both of those divisions, what's going to happen with that? It's so weird at times. It seems like they're thriving again, but then they take a step back. What's going to happen with that?
Man, I really like watching the modifieds. I ran a modified for a few years and had a lot of fun with it. But it's just the few sanctionings kind of split apart around here in the DFW area. So there's not many modified. The factory stock guys, there's some of the modified guys going and getting factory stocks. A lot of modified guys are getting into the stock cars, especially in the IMCA stuff. With the IMCA stock cars, man, they're booming. I actually sold mine modified in 2019 and built me a brand new Sniper Speed stock car, and that's what I've been running, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's what the two classes that we talk to the most people about that they enjoy the most is the factory stocks because of the cost of the tires, and then the iStocks or stock cars, whichever way you wanted to describe them as, has become the other favorite class, just because apparently the power to weight ratio is great, the racing's great, and you can take them all over the country and race them anywhere you want to race.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I really like about the IMCA stock cars. You can go wherever you want and race that thing and be competitive and know you're going to unload. If you're at an IMCA event, you know you're going to unload out of the trailer and be competitive. Because their roll package is really stout, and it keeps the field even for sure.
Yeah. So Jeffrey, how hard is it for you? I mean, because you are a racer. I mean, you race, you get out there, and I mean, you wheel anything and put it right up to the front. We've seen it time after time. But now, with the balance right there of having customers and all of that, I mean, talk about that racer versus business owner. That's got to be a lot right there for you to juggle with your two hands.
Yeah, for sure. When we first started this deal, I was a little worried about that, but man, as I started building shocks and building these relationships with all these different customers, I think I enjoy watching them win more than I enjoy winning. But no, I love seeing all the guys that call us, ask us questions, all the guys we build stuff for. Man, I love seeing them in victory lane, and heck, I tell them exactly what's on my car. I'll tell them anything they want to know.
I love it. That's awesome.
So let's say I'm a rookie driver trying to get into a factory stock, and actually let's say pure stock instead. Wait, can you run adjustable shocks on a pure stock?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll go back to factory stocks then.
I've read the rules.
Yeah, I guess I haven't. So if I'm a rookie, say, hey, I want to upgrade my shock program, and I call you and say I want to upgrade my shock program. What does that entail? What does that mean?
So normally they call and ask that, and I kind of fill them out, see what they're on. We have a couple different options when it comes to our stock mount stuff. We have the Bilstein package and the QA1 package. Forever, everybody was on the QA1 stuff. It's the oil shock.
Yeah.
It's more affordable than most stuff, and it's a decent product. It's pretty good, and we got a pretty good valve that goes in there, and it works really well. We actually got on this Bilstein stuff earlier this year, and man, their stuff is it's really nice. And their stock mount stuff is actually priced very similar to the QA1 stuff, and it's got a lot of really nice internals. You can do a lot of different things with the different shim stacks and stuff like that.
Man, that's good stuff. So with those shocks, and I mean, because I don't know with the factory stocks, you can't revalve any of that, can you? I mean, it's got to be the shock in and of itself. You can't rebuild these things. Is that right? I hope.
No, the factory stock stuff you can rebuild them.
You can. Okay.
You can do it. I mean, you're not like a late model that's got double, triple adjustable stuff. They have to be sent back to the builder, but once I get them back, I can take them apart and I can change pretty much anything in them.
Nice.
So that being said, how important? Obviously, you're the shock guy, but like you said before, expand on the part about the shocks are becoming the most important part when you don't have any weight jacks on some of these more affordable entry level type classes and stuff like that. And you as you said, it was shocks and springs. But I mean, I think that some people don't realize the importance of it, but that's part of what really comes into a good rule package when you can fine tune stuff with something like a shock.
Yeah, for sure. You can take rebound away, add rebound, adjust your compression a little bit, and you can change that whole attitude of a car just with shocks. It's a crazy thing, but it's definitely, if not the most important, one of the most important things especially on a factory stock. On any car, it's important, but the factory stock, it's one of the top priorities for sure.
Yeah, no doubt, because everything else is stock. I mean, that really is the thing. So for you, let's put the helmet back on. So what do you have in store for the rest of the year? I mean, I know running the business and all of that with customers, that's got to be a lot. But what's in store for you to get behind the wheel and the rest of the year as we get towards the end of it?
Yeah, so we've been really, really busy with the business side of stuff this year. So we haven't raced as much as we normally would, say, in years past. But every time we went out, man, we've been fast. I think we've won 8 or 9 stock car features in the 17, 18 nights we ran. We won that $7,500 down at Heart of Texas a few weeks ago on the July 4th week. We ran the American Crate Late Model Series for Tom Earl. We run his late model. We picked up a win at Boyd last time we were out there. But right now, looking forward to the rest of the year. The stock car, we're actually getting it geared up. We're going to go to Batesville.
Nice.
They got a 2,000 win show down there, the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And then we'll leave from Batesville at night and drive to Boone, Iowa to the IMCA Super Nationals, and we'll be there Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
There it is.
That's a lot of travel.
It's going to be a lot of traveling for sure. It's a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to it. The next couple weekends, we are at Ardmore with the American Crate Late Model Series, and then the following weekend, we're at Kennedale, and then the following week is when we start our trek to Arkansas and Iowa.
So here's a crazy question for you. Obviously, everybody talks about from a manufacturer perspective on the pro leagues and stuff. It's win on Sunday, sell on Monday. Is that the same thing for shocks on a local level? I mean, your man just won all that money at King of the Hill. Did that make the phone ring off the hook on that? I mean, does that really correlate into it? Is it win on Saturday, sell on Sunday?
Oh no, it definitely is. It especially with racers, man. Whatever's winning, that's what they want. That's why we strive to keep developing R&D and finding new stuff, keeping up with the ever changing of the sport. I mean, this thing, race cars, they evolve every single day, and we do our best to stay on top of that and bring the best product to our customers.
That's right. So let's talk about that, Bobby. Talking about your man right there with the King of the Hill. So with all of that, I mean, who cares how it came to be? But how was the negotiation with all of that? I mean, when you're bringing in a guy like that, I mean, when you bring in somebody to the fold like that, man, I bet the phone lines were burning up and text messages, everything to try to woo him into to your company.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've raced with Justin quite a bit. I know Justin from years past, and he's definitely a good in any race car you put him in. He's gonna go out there and win. But yeah, we got on the phone with him and did some talking, and I knew he had a big following, but man, it was crazy the amount of phone calls we got after he announced that. But no, he's been a great the team, and we're really, really looking forward to seeing him in Victory Lane more this year.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man, and that's a great way to come out of the box. And thank you for being a part of our show. I mean, it's super exciting to have you aboard, and because obviously, we've watched you for years with what you've done on the racetrack. So how do you manage this? I mean, are you going to put people in place to run this thing, and you take a step away, or what do you do moving forward? I mean, that's got to be hard now that you're the head man in charge. I mean, it's got to be emotional and kind of to figure out what to do to keep the company moving forward, and at the same time keep yourself as a great race car driver.
Yeah, I've been so busy. I haven't really had time to sit back and think on that. I mean, we get out every day and we build shocks and keep all our stuff going out the door. We got calls coming in every day, so we just gotta stay on the grind and get stuff out of here and keep our customers up front. Man, I haven't had a whole lot of time to think about it, but man, I'm planning to grow this thing as big as I can.
Absolutely. You are the man, my friend. Thanks so much for taking the time to check in with us, Jeffrey Abbey. Congratulations on everything, man. It's super cool to see what you're doing, man. Check in anytime, and thanks for being a part of the Revved Up Sports Show.
Yep, sounds good. I appreciate y'all for having me on.
You got it, man. Take care. There he is. That dude right there. And it's when you become a business owner, and we talk about it all the time, with folks that come on and they start talking about their customers and they're accomplished as a race driver. That's when it's like, oh man, that's different. That's different right there. And it is very impressive that he has taken a step back. I mean, he really has. I mean, you would see him all the time at these races, but he really has. I mean, since he's taken everything over, he's just taking care of business.
And he's, I was going to ask him about his truck racing stuff, how much he learned from that deal that could ever transfer back over, but I kind of forgot. But he ran a couple of the truck races there at Eldora. And so I was wondering how much that would come through and transfer down into the stock car program in terms of the shocks and the suspensions and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, and it really is. I mean, it's a bunch that goes into it when he's doing that. I mean, because it really is like taking a step back, and that has to be the hardest part, in my opinion, when you have done this for so long, and you kind of backpedal, and I love that he says to see the customers do well. That's what it's all about, and that's a good business owner. That's what it's all about.
That's what, especially when you're in the performance racing business. Obviously, these guys that race, obviously, and he said it's a direct correlation between win on Saturday, sell on Sunday.
Yeah,
I mean that's what you want. That's why you hook up with certain drivers, and that's why the guys that are good will take a phone call saying, "Hey, what shock should we take? Hey, what if you're a chassis builder? Hey, what setup changes should we make and stuff like that?" So that's the customer. People take for granted the customer service aspect of being a race car supplier. And stuff like that, because it's not as simple as like it was back in the day. Like your cup cars, you can't call up and say, "Hey," I mean, you got a guy that's dedicated. You have a whole wing that's dedicated to shock stuff. Obviously, on the local level, you don't have that kind of stuff. That's why you invest in a program that has that kind of tech support and can help you and stuff like that.
Yeah. I do want to touch on something tonight, because if you have Flow Sports, you are probably going to be watching the Front Row Challenge. Just a great race that's happening over at Southern Iowa Speedway. Kyle Larson is there. You've got a great fleet of drivers that are coming in. But something that I saw this week that really intrigued me, because I saw that earlier in the year, Larson was talking about the whole thing with the Chili Bowl, about not running the Chili Bowl, possibly because of the purse, $10,000 to win for everything that you do in Tulsa that whole week. I saw something that was very interesting to me this week. I mean, because, and it's kind of sad to say this, the whoever finishes last in the Knoxville Nationals is going to get $10,000. You know what the Chili Bowl pays to win?
12.
10. And I'm like, oh man, I think I get it. I think I get it. That's concerning. That's concerning.
It ain't gonna keep him from showing up though. Not so much Larson, but the other racers. They're still going to show up and try to win the Chili Bowl. Well, it's no different than the Derby. You spend a hell of a lot more money than $30,000 to win that Derby.
But do we see? Because when you have somebody like Larson that says, "I'm not sure I want to do that," because the Front Row thing tonight on Flow is $21K to win. So, I mean, maybe it's setting a benchmark right there to where that's going to increase. I mean, I don't know. Do people follow suit with Larson and be like, oh, driver strike? We're not going to do that because of the money.
I doubt it.
If I saw Larson not racing, I'd be more amped to go.
Yeah, because you got a better shot at winning when Larson's not there trying to kick your ass.
Yeah, I don't know, but that was a real eye opener right there. I'm like, damn, that's kind of weird. But anyway, I don't know, but that's a big money show, and you'll have it tonight on Flow Sports, and then when you get to that, really was surprising. I really was taken aback to see that Throwback 276. Let's touch on that. So this is week number 2. They finally got the race run, and Dick Trickle wins the race.
That's right. That was a good-looking car.
That's a great-looking car. And I have to tell you, so he wins the race over William Sawalich in the Orange Blossom Special, made famous by Dennis Setzer. Every time that I saw that orange number 4 on pavement, I thought more of Irvin Brighton than Dennis Setzer.
I mean, I can see that with the way that car was looking.
Yeah, but they got that one in the books. To me, I think that is one of the we talked about this. I think a couple of shows ago or on the Saturday show, where that is one of my favorite races right there because you bring out the old paint schemes and to see those cars on the track, and you bring back in the old. I mean, I just love that. I mean, I know NASCAR does that. I mean, I know NASCAR does that at Darlington with that race, but to me, seeing it on the short track. Seeing it on the short track, to see it at Hickory, that right there is the ultimate throwback, in my opinion.
I think so. I mean, I think that it's a great way to see everything correlate, right? Obviously, the throwback for the NASCAR stuff is kind of cool, despite the whole number fiasco thing. Now they move it forward and backwards. But to see it at a local level, and to see it from everything from the Cup stuff getting recognized all the way down to throwbacks to local short track racers. That's what makes that so cool, is because there's such a wide range of throwbacks from so many different genres, if you will, so many different racing eras and racing disciplines. That's what makes the 276 a really good event.
Yeah, I agree. And that really is the thing. I mean, they jam-packed the Hickory Motor Speedway right there, and to see all of that happening, I mean that really is a short track racing event. I mean, I know that everything has changed so much right now to where it's a different time. It's a different day. I mean, when it comes to everything, whether it be NASCAR, short track racing, whatever the thing is, but to see that, I mean, that really is a cool thing. And as we talk about that, we saw last week with North Wilkesboro, and we talked about this a little bit on Saturday, to where it's like, did we ever think this was going to happen? But to see the big modifieds out there, and then this week, you've got I think we've got over 30 late models that are going to be out there, and you got every form of late model that's going to be racing on that track. And I do want to touch on something that we did mention on Saturday, and that's at hornfm.com. Is we had the revival is what they called it.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday, you could not find a seat. Could not find a seat.
Sold out. Sold out.
Everybody was there. Probably standing room only. They probably had to turn people away. It sounds familiar. On Wednesday, not quite so full. And I know people got to work and whatever the case is, but the way that our mind is thinking about, we're going to make this place great again. Here we go again. We've done this at Wilkes. We've done this at Rockingham.
Mm-hmm.
We've done this at San Antonio, like you said. We've done this. Hell, we did it at Longhorn for a year. Okay.
More than one time.
How bad do we want this? Here we go into this whole scenario again. I've had folks asking me, how was the count at Houston? I talked to somebody and it sounded like, there were some good, decent count of people that were out there practicing with the threat of weather and so forth and so on. But how bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? How invested are you?
Well,
how invested are you?
How much of that had to do with the fact it was the exact same classes back-to-back nights?
I don't know.
You think that had a little bit of deterrent to it because you didn't want to see the same exact show as from the night before?
Well, I mean, that could be part of it. But I mean, a tried and true race fan, they're going to show up, especially in a grassroots effort like this, to where it's like, man, we have waited and waited and waited and waited. I can tell you, if I lived there, I'd have been there both nights, and I don't know. We'll have to. I'm sure that night number 1 of the late models will be really good.
Mm-hmm.
But it's and a lot. I've seen folks asking, why are they doing it during the week? I don't know. I mean, I have no clue. But that's what you have. That's what you have. You said you were going to go. You said you were going to go there and support it. Go.
I mean, that's what they need to do.
I agree. And so we'll see how that shakes out. And, of course, then I venture to say when they pull the asphalt off and you have the dirt underneath, I mean, maybe that's going to be a different crowd. I don't know. I mean, maybe we see the same result. I mean, but it's a grassroots effort, and you asked for it. Come on, let's go. Do it.
Mm-hmm. Get it rocking and rolling. I think that when you change classes, I think it'll be better. I think you'll see the crowd come back.
Well, I hope so. Because we've been wanting it. So let's do it. And I don't know what the pay-per-view numbers are, with streaming and all that. I have no clue what those numbers were, but hopefully they were healthy. There were a couple of different ways to check into that. So anyway, I do want to go back to Texana. You were actually there on hand. Let's talk about to see the late models there. And that did look like a really healthy count. I went back and I kind of watched some of the
14, I think.
14 is a good count. To see those cars on that track, that's a really good racetrack for late models. Ray Allen Kaholnik wins that race. And I want to talk about Ray Allen because he's one of the guys where he gets out there, he races different, different classes. I mean, you've seen him in everything. But him and his Jose Moran team, for those guys to get out there and get after it, he did a good job. He was good with you after the race. It was just really good to see something different there at Texana. And I think that's something that can provide a spark, I think, to that racetrack.
Well, stay tuned. There'll be more information coming out about events, upcoming events with the potential tie-in with some late models. So that is some good news coming out there. I think that people will be very pleasantly pleased with the potential lineup we got coming up for the Clash towards the end of the year. So there should be some, as the season gets on later, there'll be stuff. But I think that the late models tend to draw the same interest as the sprint cars. Obviously, you've seen it up at Heart of Texas, where Heart of Texas likes to do sprint cars and late models early in the season, multiple nights back to back, because it gets everybody involved and it gets everybody wanting to come back and see more racing. And I think that that's the same thing that the late models did for Texana. Wish there's a little bit more. The rain kind of scared a few people away for back to school night, but obviously really good turnout for what was there. Lots of good racers, put in a lot of stuff at the local county sheriff and the local police department helping give away stuff. You had a couple of racers, Summer Nave, Michaela Trimble and John Drexler, that worked hard donating their money, and of course Cord Beard donating stuff from his team and stuff. So I think when it's a grassroots effort, when you have somebody trying to come through and on a good night like the actual same sport back to school bash, which carries on this weekend upcoming at the race ranch.
And I like this weekend coming up when we start talking about in South Texas, because to me, this is a better balance, I think, when it comes to car count and for folks to figure out which place they want to go to, because obviously you have everything that's going to be happening up north. I mean, with all those tracks, I mean, you got 105 that's going to be racing up, in the Houston area and Cleveland. You'll have 105, KRP, Devil's Bowl, Big O. I mean, you got the weekly tracks that are going to be happening across the state. But I think here we've got a better balance to where you have the race ranch, and then Cotton Bowl fires back off once again with night number, what is it, 2?
Night number 2.
Night number 2 of their summer series. And I think that's where you don't have that slippery slope for drivers to where it's like, which one do I go to? I mean, those are vastly different places right there. For those, for this weekend, I think this is a weekend to where both Corpus and Cotton Bowl are both going to do well, because Cotton Bowl really is the track that, we talk about it all the time, to where they've got their cars and their drivers. It doesn't matter, hell or high water, they're going to show up. I mean, they've got their cars. And I think this weekend is going to balance well in South Texas with what we have coming up on the schedule.
I think so. I mean, I've always said that there's not as many guys that travel between Cotton Bowl and Texana. They go. I mean, obviously, I think a couple of weeks ago, the Boot Hill racing is what took drivers away from both classes, both tracks rather. So I think that that's what you see more. Obviously, the guys that end up touring the most are some of the Corpus guys, because they come up and race at I-37, and then the I-37 guys, they go all over the place. They go to Corpus, they go to Cotton Bowl, they go to Texana. Obviously, they run right there at home at I-37. So those are the guys that have a tendency to travel a little bit more as the guys kind of in the San Antonio area, because they got a 2-hour drive in every direction, almost to their home track too.
Yeah.
But they got about a 2-hour drive to get to Corpus, 2-hour drive to get to Edna, 2-hour drive or so to get to Cotton Bowl. So they have options when they decide they want to race.
Yeah, and then that is a cool thing that you have the staples, with the 105, and I think 105 and even with Rocket. I mean, there's a couple of tracks that maybe they don't quite get the love because they race all the time. I mean, it's all the time, and they have steady car counts. They have a good bunch of folks in the seats that are always there, and that I think that's something where you have to go back to with the weekly racetrack, because it's a situation to where where we talk about some of the tracks down south, it's bi-weekly or every third week or whatever. But when we look up north, I mean, these guys are slamming this stuff out week after week, and it's a great car count, and I'm still intrigued every time that I look around when you have a big money factory stock race and you can look at all of these tracks that race weekly, and then you throw in some of the South every other week racetracks. Mm-hmm. And man, it's healthy. I mean, it's healthy everywhere. I mean, talking about there with Big O, I mean, 34 for 5K to win. I mean, some folks are like, well, I don't know about that. That's kind of low. Look around at every other damn place that was racing. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of dadgum race cars.
That's a lot of factory stocks trying to race all across the state. There definitely is no shortage of factory stocks by no means. So
no, that's exactly right.
Without a doubt. So.
No, that's right. And of course, this week you do have the Gulf Coast Racing Series back at Mobile, all weather pending. I mean, it's so weird for me looking at weather. When I look at what's going on over there, I'm like, oh, do I really want to schedule stuff to get down there, or up there? I'm assuming everything's good. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen right there, but when we talk about that and some of the stuff that I heard with the Houston with HMP, with some of the whether it be committed drivers, whatever you want to call them, the pro late models seem to be on a resurgence, and I really like the idea, because we've done it at Mobile, is to where you give the pro late models a place to show up. We just had the Show Me the Money at Montgomery this past week, and Jake Garcia wins that. But when you give the pro late models, because you've got the Jake Garcias, you've got all these guys that are so good that you show up and you see them in the pits, and it's like, oh my goodness. But when you have a racetrack, I don't know what Houston's plan is, but I'm hoping that they're going to put them on the 8-inch American Racer or a pull-off or something to give folks an opportunity to race. I love that for pro late models, because when we talk about pro late models trying to make a comeback, with Outlaws and all this other stuff, to me, there's a lot of guys that are sitting with a pro late model, and apparently this may be the case in Texas from what I've heard. There are guys sitting with a pro late model that want a place to race, kind of be like a weekly track, kind of be weekly. Man, Houston, pound on that. Get all over that, because I don't know. I've been told there's a bunch of them sitting, I guess.
I don't know where they are. I mean, if they're sitting in a barn somewhere.
Well,
they're sitting in the corner of a shop all covered up in dust because they hadn't run late models in Houston in, good Lord, who knows how long.
Well, no, at CTS, at the end of CTS, I know that we had a pretty good contingent there of those, and that was like one of our biggest classes. I mean, I remember 2013 when we started at CTS. It was like, don't run the late models. That was our biggest class. And, that was back then. But hopefully that's something that's going to work out. So let me ask you this. Let's put our promoter hat on here. And neither one of us are that. If you were going to run Houston, last asphalt track that we have right now, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, what would you run as your – because here's my thought. There are too many classes. That's been the problem here in Texas. When we start adding, we got to give everybody a place to race. And I had this conversation with Tim Self and Jim Hubbard and everybody back in the day. It's like, we got to give everybody a place to race. I'm like, we're going to be here all night, and we're going to have classes with 4 cars. If you were the promoter at said asphalt track in Texas, what would you run?
Obviously you run.
He's like, oh shit.
No, it's really simple. If
Pretty
you go
simple.
you go off the car counts in the past and what you know is there, and you kind of look at somewhat the guys that are traveling to Mobile. Obviously, the first two you're going to run is trucks and mods. That's easy. That's the first part. Then you've got your cost-effective class. You've got your eco stock. So those three are easily lockable in. If you have enough interest for the late models, you could run. I don't know if you book them on a continuous basis, like all 4 races or all 10 races, whatever the case may be. They'd have to show me more than 3 or 4 late models that are coming out to a racetrack to get added to more than 1 or 2 races.
You said it.
It's one thing. The one part of it from the promoting aspect back from the Asphalt Limited modified days. If you've got 15 guys that said they're showing up, you're lucky to get 7. Mm-hmm. It's the 50-50 rule when you talk about commitment. So if you got 28 guys saying they're coming, if you get 14 or 15, then you're doing pretty damn good. So I think that I think that because there's been such a pause in the racing action for pro late models, super late models, even outlaws, the late model outlaw class never caught on here, never got more than 6 or 7 cars when they were racing in Houston and had all the extra stuff put together. So I think that it's more of a show me what you got before it comes down to that chicken or the egg scenario. What comes first, the class or the cars?
Right.
It's always been that. It's always been that fine line. Does the class come first or the cars? I think you have to add late models into the equation if there's enough guys that say they want to race it because they don't have anywhere else to race or don't want to go to Mobile or don't want to go to Pensacola. I think Mobile is a good testing ground because you don't have to run a 100-lap pro late model race. People can come in and get their feet wet and get their program rolling by running 30 to 40 to 50 laps running around Mobile before you have to run a 100-lap pro late model race with some of the better pro late model racers in the South by trying to run one at Pensacola.
Yeah, and that really is the biggest thing that we have found at Mobile is that we're affording guys an opportunity that maybe can't buy all these tires. They can't do all of this. I mean, they don't have the resources to be able to do what you're talking about. They get out there if they can put a good program together and run 30 laps, and that's. I mean, and there's detractors. I know that people say, well, 30 laps. I mean, that's nothing. Well, you know what? These guys don't have $20,000 to spend on a weekend. They can't go buy all these tires. They can't do all of this.
And that's what they asked for, though.
That's what they want. I mean,
they haven't asked for a 100-lap late model race.
Right.
I don't even think they've been asking for a 50-lap late model race.
And that's where I want to challenge the Houston crowd is if there really are these late model guys that want to come out and run that and outlaw guys, or I don't know what they're doing with the super stocks. I'm waiting for the rules to come out. Is tell them what you want. Because I know a lot of folks are frowning on Gina, and yes, I work for her, and I'm gonna be transparent right here. But she has gone out and she captured that late model crowd, and I can tell you one thing. I mean, even with the trucks, I mean, she could sit out there and run a 50-lap truck race, but she doesn't want to tear them all up, and I can appreciate that from a racer standpoint, but. This is just what I'm saying with the Houston thing. And I've seen a lot of folks saying when it comes to the stock cars, because folks are like, we want a stock car class. Okay, well, tell them what you want. All you're telling them is we want a stock car class. When they throw out that factory stock rule book, don't be bitching about, well, but we really wanted this.
The only thing,
because that's what's going to happen.
The only problem with adding factory stocks in Houston running on the pavement, because they already run on the pull-off, so that's not such a big deal. A lot of those cars run smaller tubing, so if they pop the fence, you're going to see more cars folded up than what you think, because some of those cars have that smaller tubing to flex better on dirt. So if you put the factory stocks on asphalt, that could be a little deterrent for some of the guys that'll be like, there's no way I'd run it. I mean, I've talked to a couple of guys that have run pavement in the past and run factory stocks on dirt, and they're like, there's no way I'm bringing my factory stock to Houston because it's going to be too fast.
Yeah, and what you can't do is you can't sit here in a revamped effort to try to get racing pavement racing happening in Texas. You can't sit here and try to reinvent the wheel and go back and want to rewrite a rule book and do all this stuff, because what you have to do, I mean, I know there's a lot of HMP Pro stocks that have talked about wanting to race. I mean, guys, if they're going to give you a stock car class, you have to be prepared that you may go out there and you may not be able to compete, because what they're going to have to do right here is combine what Bobby's talking about with whether it be a dirt track, pure stock, street stock, factory stock, whatever it is, whatever they're going to try to find right there and try to pull you into that. So you're going to have to figure out a way to combine your stuff into that and commit yourself to be a part of that. And we'll just have to wait and see what's going to happen with that. And then we get into the whole outlaw and super stock thing. And, when we started hanging, TSRS stuff on super stocks, I mean, that's the end of the deal right there. I mean, that's why we got out of that business right there. I mean, am I going to go out there and try to compete with that? Hell no. I mean, there's no way. There's no way. And that's where hopefully all of this, it's going to be, I'm just hoping when we see the rules and we see everything come out, it's going to be a fair balance for everybody. But I think what a lot of folks need to be prepared for, unless you're a modified or a truck or one of those, if you're in one of those eco stock kind of doesn't fit in this class, you need to be prepared to have a place to race, and you better be prepared because you may not be competitive because we're going to have to, we're throwing darts at the wall right here when it comes to Texas asphalt racing just to get a racetrack open.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it becomes the stock classes. I think you're going to be a good solid, and the promoters are not stupid, right? They're going to schedule the cars with the class because the fans aren't going to want to come out and watch 4 cars run around for a 20-lap feature. Mm-hmm. It's really that simple. So regardless, and you feel bad for the guys that, especially when you saw back in the day an outlaw or super stock race, 3 cars showed up.
Yep.
Right. It becomes, you don't want to penalize the guys that show up by running 15 laps. But you also don't want the fans to sit there with a 3-car race either. That's why they have to run 15 laps. So it's a work in progress for everybody, and that's not necessarily a jab on Houston. You see it on dirt. You see it at other asphalt tracks all across the country. Some tracks don't have issues with car counts. Some cars do, or some tracks do. So it's the ultimate catch-22 in trying to work together in terms of trying to find a way that is beneficial for the racer and the racetrack, because everybody needs to look out for everybody else, but it also has to be beneficial for everybody. The classes have to be beneficial to the racetrack, but the classes have to have the right rule set where it's beneficial for the drivers and the teams, and both of them have to combine together to put on a good enough show for the fans to continue to get the fans in the seats past race number 1.
Yeah, that's a big thing. You got to get folks there to support you, and you guys need to show up and support the racetrack. So hopefully that's going to be the plan right there at Houston. Of course, we will update you as soon as we hear, whatever we hear with all of that moving forward. Stick around, guys. We've got more coming up. We've got Ryan Kuhn coming up, and then later in the show, Brenda Kirby is going to join us after her big win at Heart of Texas Speedway in one of those big old powerful IMCA modified. Stepping away for a second, this is the Revved Up Sports Show. We are live from Texas.
Have you heard about the latest and greatest technology being built around the DFW area? Generation Race Cars and JL Racing, located in Springtown, Texas, are now offering top-of-the-line, state-of-the-art Southern Sport mods and limited modifieds. Generation Race Cars and JL Racing can provide new cars, turnkey, complete bodies, shock revalving, and chassis updates, along with providing trackside setup guidance and a whole lot more. If you're looking at competing at a whole new level, call 817-528-2947 and ask for Justin today. You can contact them through the JL Racing Facebook page to learn more about Generation Race Cars. You put a ton of effort into your race program. Now take it to victory lane with GRC.
Hey everybody, Rodney Rodriguez for CRS Suspension. Are you ready to take your racing program into victory lane? Well, if you are, then it's time to call CRS Suspension, the industry leader in handling technology. CRS now solely owned by winning iStock and late model racer Jeffrey Abbey, whose knowledge can do big things for your oval track success. Give CRS Suspension and Fabrication a call today at 325-330-0647 and learn how you can get the shocks and technical guidance that will put you into the winner's circle. You either have CRS shocks under your car or you get outrun by those who do. Choose to win and call CRS Suspension today and follow them on Facebook at CRS Suspension Fabrication. Back live with the Revved Up Sports Show coming to you on a Monday. Great Monday once again. Really good program as we have been going here since about 6:30, and we are jumping back over. We're going back once again to the Revved Up Sports Show hotline, which is always presented by Lone Star Speed Zone and Computer Age Automotive. And we're going up north. We're going up north where it's cool. It's right now a cool 94 degrees in Texas at 7:26 p.m. Central. We're talking to our man, Mr. Ryan Kuhn. Ryan, how we doing, sir?
How are you guys?
Man, we're doing well. How about you, buddy? Where are you? How's the weather where you are, my friend? Go ahead and piss us off and tell us how cooler that it is here where you're at.
Yeah, I wish I could say the same. Honestly, it feels like Texas up here the last 2 weeks or so. It's been up almost near 100. So
oh my goodness!
Wow,
damn, that's a real deal. That is a real deal. Nice.
that's crazy. So how do y'all handle the heat up there? I mean, like that's hot for y'all. I mean, a lot of times, a lot of places don't have AC and all that kind of stuff up there because y'all ain't used to the hotness. How are you handling it up there?
It gets to you after a little bit, but the good thing is when you're in a nice, cool AC race shop, it's
nice.
It's nice for a little bit, but when the first thing you get outside, it's like, what the heck happened, man? It's crazy.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So let's talk about the season so far, my man. Leading the point standings there with the Pass Tour, and it's so weird when we get to talk to you guys up north. I mean, we've got the Southern Super Series and all this stuff down here, but you know, we talk to you guys. Talk about the season so far for you, man. It looks like it's been pretty damn good up to this point.
Yeah, I mean, it really didn't start off all too great. You know, it started off with a DNF at Hickory and rear end problem the second day. And what else? We wrecked at Stafford, had tire problems at New Hampshire. Yeah, the good thing is that a lot of other guys have had problems as well. That's helped us catch up. You know, it seems like some of the top guys will have 1 or 2 rough weeks, and then we'll have 1 or 2 rough weeks. But we've been fortunate enough to really kick it in high gear second half of the season. Really haven't finished outside the top 10 in about a month or 2, which is really, really good. But the good thing is we're there, and hopefully we can stay there.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Ryan, as far as points racing, was points chasing something that you wanted to do from the beginning of the season, or was it kind of when you had the issues at Hickory and some of the other problems throughout the year and you kind of start behind the 8 ball, was points something that you wanted, or did you start looking a couple of races after that and saying, you know, looking at the points, being like, well, here we are, now we're leading. Now you're kind of, I don't want to say you're stuck trying to chase it, but, you know, if you're in the thick of it right now, the season's, you know, 3/4 of the way through, now there's a chance.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like that to start the season. Start the season, it was just going to be past national, and that'd be it. But unfortunately, the bad luck started at Hickory, and he said, oh, man, not good luck so far. And we went to Thompson. There was another past national, and that was actually the first actual past north race was Thompson. We finished 6th, which was really good. Went to New Hampshire with a lot of momentum. It was really fast all day. Felt like we had top 3 speed. Unfortunately, tire problems caught us there. Stafford running 2nd. Tire problem put us in the fence, needed a clip, and I thought we were done for there. Then we look at the points at the staff, and I'm like, man, we're like top 5 in points after all that. Crap. What the hell are we up here? But, you know, I mean, we stuck to it, ran auction the following week, or a couple weeks later with one of our backup cars, our old car, and stayed decent there and found ourselves top 3 in points at that point. We said, you know what? Let's get through like the next 2-3 races, see what happens. Ran good couple of those races and sat there top 3 in points right there. We're like, man, these guys are the guys up front are struggling as well. So
yeah,
we stayed in it. We stayed in it, and here we are.
Yeah, consistency. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. So let's rewind back a little bit. I mean, for you, I mean, being on the ACT tour, I mean, talk about all the historic tracks. I mean, you've run Thompson, you run all of these racetracks. Your progression from ACT now to Pass. I mean, it's such a cool thing up there. I mean, talk about how you got to this point.
You know, it wasn't easy, but it was a long journey. You know, first off, you know, I like to thank my sponsor, Everett's Auto Parts. You know, they're the main reason we're really doing what we're doing today. If I didn't have them, man, I don't know where I'd be.
Yeah.
I don't think we'd be anywhere in late models. We'd probably still be in legend cars somewhere. But you know, I'm fortunate enough to have some good people behind me. But you know, legend car days, we ran good legend cars. Really turned some heads. That was really the start of it. We won 17 races in 2 years in legend cars, my first 2 years in legend cars, and turned some heads there, and that was really all uphill battle from there. We struggled for the last 2 years. We struggled, and we got 2 wins in 2 weeks after winless for 2 years, which is insane. But that shows that we're really starting to learn and figure some stuff out on our own, and hopefully we can keep that momentum up.
That's right.
So how does racing midweek work? We don't have enough tracks down here to do that racing midweek. I mean, is it dependent on how it works? Like, are you racing on a Wednesday, then you get a couple of days at the shop, racing again on Saturday? I mean, you probably partied for a couple of days because you won that midweek race, but how does that work for your schedule up there?
You know, it's interesting racing on a Wednesday. It just feels weird, but you know, honestly, we did not party at all. The next morning about 7 a.m., we were back to work in the race shop, getting the next car ready for Oxford the following Saturday. And yeah, it was. We didn't even think anything of it. We just kept working, doing what we do best. And really, the second half of the season, we really started to learn these cars better, and we want to use that to. We have 3 Pro Late models now, and we're trying to use that knowledge to all 3 of them. But we get 2 of them that are identical, and one of them is not even close. So it's different.
Yeah. Well, that happens. That happens. So talk about. I mean, because down south, and when we talk to you guys up there, talk about all the great drivers you compete against. I mean, we can talk about Eddie McDonald. I mean, we go on and on and on, and it's been really cool for us with the help of Phil Whipple that booked you for us tonight. I mean, talk about the great drivers up north, man. I think for a lot of South people, they watch this show and they're like, man, I think I've heard of that name before. There's some damn stout competition up there.
Yeah, I mean, there really is some stout competition. You know, it's so much of a different character than down south in the Southern Super Series. Because honestly, in my opinion, I feel like there's a lot more money down there than there is up here, and that really takes a toll. But at the same time, I've been saying it for years. Oxford Plains Speedway is the one track where I think like some of the biggest names in motorsports could go to and struggle. That's just Oxford's a completely different animal. You know, it doesn't matter how much money you got in the car. It doesn't matter who you got working on the car. The people, unless your name's Bubba Pollard, you can figure that place out the first time you go there.
The king.
But it seems like everyone else that's like Stephen Nassy. He struggled last year. He didn't make the show for the 250. Me and him were in the same boat last year. So, but at the same time, I've seen some of the biggest names show up there: Christopher Bell, Stephen Nassy, Dalton Sargent. Some of them names that come from down south in that area just struggle every time they go to Oxford, but they can go to, you know, Seekonk, run competitive, and everywhere else run competitive. But obviously the southern tracks are so much different. I feel like I said before, I think there's more money down there, and there's more powerhouse racetracks and powerhouse teams down there than there is up here, which is also different. That's why I think you see a lot of the northern guys, when they try to go down south, they struggle a little bit more than if the southern guys went up north, usually, unless it's Oxford. But
yeah,
that's just that's my viewpoint on it.
No doubt.
I think it's definitely different. It's two completely different animals for sure.
Yeah, but when you watch the racing, you guys up there, y'all don't lean on each other near as hard as the boys down in the south.
A lot
do.
of respect.
I mean, there's a lot of tore up equipment. You guys up north, you have your moments because it's racing and you're going to make contact with guys, but you know, all the videos that we watch on Racing America and through different kind of streaming services, you guys race pretty hard, but y'all race pretty clean up there too.
Yeah, I mean, I've passed Pro All-Star Series and the ACT Tour are really the two cleanest series, in my opinion, in all of New England, out of any touring series.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's the thing, like I said before, compared to down south and up here. I think there's a lot less money up here. People realize that. They don't want to tear their stuff up because they're going to be the ones fixing it for the following week and paying all the money for it, get it ready for the following week. But I think that's the difference from up here and down south. It's just, even the big dogs down south, a lot of them guys they're not really leaning on each other big time down there either, because I think a lot of them guys realize that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and not to mention, you guys race during the week. They race on the weekend. So I think that's probably a big part of it. I would venture to say. So tell me, Ryan. Let's talk about the Oxford 250. We've got the snowball over here. Everybody all about snowball, and it's a great event. And I'm not going to get to the 250 this year, but next year my ass is going to be there. Talk about that race, man. What does it mean to you? What does it mean to race fans up there? It's like a progression. I just love that you check in on Racing America every Sunday. There's a race getting ready for Oxford. Man, that right there is a benchmark legacy event.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's the Daytona 500 of the Northeast. Really,
I agree.
It's an awesome event, awesome weekend. I've been going every year since about 2015. I ran my first ever Oxford 250 in 2019. Actually qualified in the pole for that race in 2019. And honestly, we've struggled. We have not been good in the Oxford 250 the last couple of years. Just the first year we had tire problems. Second year we got in a wreck. Third year we didn't even make the show. And hopefully this year we get some better luck. But yeah, like I said, the Oxford 250, the Daytona 500 in the Northeast is it's just so fun going there every year. It's the best weekend to go to up north. It's just, man, it's awesome. The vibes are awesome. It's just fun groups to hang out with, camping.
Yeah.
Just it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Speaking of a lot of fun, you get a chance to race all over the world from what we hear, because you do a little bit of iRacing, and you got your fingers in the pie up there with some setups there with iRacing. Talk about that whole program you got going on up there. In addition to your late model stuff, you got this iRacing stuff that sounds like it's working pretty good for you.
Yeah, I got a program called RKM Setup Shop. We sell iRacing setups to basically anyone. It's public online. It's all digital stuff, so it ain't like you got to really do any work. All you do is download the setup, drag it in the set folder, and boom, you got it. So you just go out and race and drive it. And obviously, I like to hear the feedback from the customers and all that other stuff. And I like working with customers and help them get better. And we got our own little driver development program, help some guys get through the ranks and really get better, more consistent, and pick a lap time, show them what they're doing wrong, show what they're not doing wrong, and we got a lot of guys. We got a lot of guys backing us behind us, which is awesome. So we've been really, really successful in the short tracks on with the RKM Setup Shop program, and we're doing very good with everything else, dirt, NASCAR, all that good stuff. It's all a lot of fun. It comes down to having a lot of fun on here.
That's right.
So what in your mind is a better driver development tool? A Legends car with the power to weight ratio, or iRacing with the new kids now?
Honestly, I think real life seat time is obviously the way to go, just because you get that feel of just speed and all that stuff. On iRacing, you don't have that feel for speed, but you do have that feel for handle. But I think for speed, real life, for handle, I think the sim would help you a lot if you're not going to a track with like a lot of speed.
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Man, that is good stuff, man. So to wrap up the year, I mean, here we go. The road to Oxford. I mean, what's the plan? What all you got left besides Oxford? Like there's anything left besides Oxford.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we got the big bad fast Thunder Road Speed Bowl coming up later this year.
Love it.
That track is fast. That's a slinger of the Northeast. That track is very, very fast, very high bank, fresh asphalt. Honestly, I ran there a couple of years ago in the past tour, and I was like, man, we're going way too fast here. Way too fast. Holy crap. We got Spud Speedway way up in Caribou, Maine. That's coming up as well. White Mountain Motorsports Park. We're going back to Thompson end of the year, which is going to be fun. And then we're going to end the year at Oxford again to the championship.
Absolutely, man. What a year. What a year. Congratulations, man, on being at the top of the standings right there, and do it, man. Go get the big one. Go get the big one, man.
Thank you, guys.
We will be checking in
Absolutely.
from down south. Thanks for being a part of this, man. We'll talk soon.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me.
You got it, man.
All
Take
right,
care.
man, have a good one.
You bet.
Hey, thank you. Have a good one, guys.
Yes, sir. Take care. There he is. It is Ryan Kuhn checking in as he, man, I love talking to the guys up north. I just like listening to them is the best part.
You like their accents is what you're trying to say?
I do like the accent. I like when but he talked the universal language. He said he hit the fence.
That's it. That is a universal
He hit
language.
the fence. He hit the fence. I mean, that's something that we all talk about. But good stuff right there from Ryan Kuhn. He is your Pass North point leader as the road to the Oxford 250 continues on. We're going to jump back on again. Once again, locked and loaded. Revved Up Sports Show Hotline, powered by Computer Age Automotive. And this is a lady that I don't know why people were, I want to say, stunned them at Waco. I wasn't surprised. I was not surprised at all. We're jumping in right now. This is the winner of the IMCA Modifieds at Heart of Texas Speedway last Friday night. It is Brenda Kirby. Brenda, how are we doing, ma'am?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We are doing well. Thank you for taking the time. Thanks for jumping on with us. We'll talk about your full career and all that here in just a minute. But talk about Waco on Friday night. Really good job of putting an ass whooping on those guys. I love to see that. That looked really good.
Yeah, it was fun. That's for sure. I didn't think I had that big of a lead on everyone. I thought I could hear Eric or someone behind me on the backstretch wall, but I watched the video about 5 times now and just trying to learn and see what I can do better for next time too.
I love it.
So in terms of some of the different stuff that you race, what's your take on Heart of Texas? Do you like it on a Friday night? Is it a track that suits your style? I mean, you've run all over the Southwest and different kind of places, but how does it suit your driving style?
It really doesn't. I mean, to be honest, I'm used to all the Arizona and some of the California tracks where I first started racing that are more momentum tracks. So it took me a while to get a hold of these Texas tracks, and I thought Waco would be the hardest one to figure out, but I'm good around the bottom, so I think that definitely helped. And Chris and David Stremming at Lethal Chassis have been working their butts off to try and get that car a lot more comfortable for me. So I think just kind of a mixture of everything, and it worked in my favor, especially starting up front.
Yeah, no doubt. And talk about that because we actually have it rolling right now. But you had Eric Tomlinson right there, and then Green and McSpadden, and then the other guy in the 94. I mean, you had some big dudes behind you. And I mean, the thing was, you just pointed that car. You never missed your mark. You put it at the bottom of the racetrack, and just walk us through that. I mean, because we're watching it now. Eric was so good on the top side, but you were just so poised. That was so impressive to watch.
Yeah, I drive the car really straight. I mean, my dad's always told me I should have got into asphalt racing, but he thinks it's boring. But, running the bottom is definitely my strong suit versus running the wall or up top. So I knew they were there, but, you put your helmet on and you try not to think about who else is in the race, and you just kind of run your own race and hope you come out first.
That's right.
So speaking of coming out first, obviously the win at Heart of Texas was probably not one of your first wins. Talk about how you got started. You talk about your dad didn't want you to race pavement and stuff like that. So talk about how it all got started for you.
Yeah, so I started, I think I was 14 or 15. My cousin Cody started driving a modified, and I said I want to drive like he is, and they let me hot lap at a practice night, and I was going really, really slow, but I got out with the biggest smile on my face. So I kind of hooked from there. So my dad's been racing since he was 15, and just a big family affair. And you know, I've always been really fond of my dad, and I grew up dancing, and it'd be 10 o'clock at night after a dance competition. I'd tell Mom we have plenty of time to make the races now. So
That's right.
I think it was kind of always my direction to start racing. It just took me a little longer to get there.
So Brenda, talk about that. I mean, it's one thing to get into racing, but to jump in and drive one of these monsters, I mean, these modifieds, I mean, talk about the thrill of this thing. I don't care if you're running the cushion, you're down at the bottom, middle of the racetrack. These things, they are just so fast. Talk about the horsepower and everything. I mean, and car control. That is so important when it comes to racing these cars.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, I tried to, when I was learning, I always tried to hold my line and not to get in the way of everyone, especially when they come to lap me when I was learning. That was always the biggest thing. Racing, I started in sport mods, northern sport mods in California, and some of my friends that raced, they said, you're the easiest person to lap because we always knew where you were going to go.
Stay on the bottom.
I kind of just, stay on the bottom, or if I was running the high side, I just stayed there, and they always knew I wasn't going to make a mistake. I try to be as perfect as I can. I mean, we all make mistakes and things happen, but, you know, the smoother you are, the faster you're going to go, and sometimes the slower you go, the faster you are. And even Friday night, I think I might have hit half throttle during that main event. Like, I just nice and smooth and steady.
I love it. I love it.
So you talked about the track surfaces being different between, you know, the Texas dirt and the Arizona and the California dirt. What about the racing itself? Is it all the same regardless of where you go, or is there a different kind of mentality from the guys and gals that race in California and Arizona?
It's pretty much the same. You get the ones that race you clean. You get the ones that don't like to get beat by a female driver and kind of throw a fit about it. But you just, I mean, whether I've raced there 20 times or never, I try to go there with an open mind and try to learn from people that I know that are good drivers and kind of take it all in and just race by race, hopefully get faster there.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about that right there that Bobby asked about racing surfaces. So I want to compare your weekend. So obviously you had the weekend there at Heart of Texas, winning that race. Let's talk about it looked like you had a totally different track for you at 37 on Saturday. Compare the differences there without casting shade at either track. It looked like night and day right there for those two.
Yeah, you know, I mean, racetracks try their best to try and get it as racy as possible, and I just think a combination of the wind, the heat, kind of letting it sit there for a while on Saturday with the go-karts running just kind of made it really dominant around the bottom, and we were all kind of fighting there, and once you got there, you just tried to stay with the guy in front of you and wait for them to make a mistake to try and get around them. But yeah, it was hard to pass. I hit one of the infield tires, and I don't like to tear cars up, especially when they're not mine. So I figured it was probably better to just pull in before I did something worse. So
no, good move.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Everybody loves hitting tires. I mean, that's what they're down there for, right? It's like running a pinball machine.
Yeah, we have a track in Arizona where the berm is about 3 foot high, and if you hit that, you don't have a race car at the end of the night. So I've learned from there to not hit that, and I think that's helped me with the tractor tires. But, you know, sometimes you just get a little too close. Yeah,
it happens. It definitely happens. So let's talk about this. I mean, obviously we know that you are the fiance there to the other number 94. So how'd you end up in Texas? I mean, what was it, him or how did all this happen? I remember when I was calling some races there at Cotton Bowl and I saw Brenda Kirby in the other 94. I'm like, are they just like getting some? Are they pulling a random, a dude to drive and just kind of running a crazy thing here? How did all that happen? Is that Allison in that car and they're trying to make somebody else drive it? How did all that work out?
Yeah, he came out to race at Cocopah Speedway in Yuma, Arizona, almost 2 years ago now, and we met each other there and just kind of stayed friends and hung out in Vegas for just a little bit, and then I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months later, one of their family dogs had some puppies, and I'm a sucker for puppies, so that's kind of how it all started.
Weak spot right there.
Yep. Oh, I love dogs, so he definitely knew the way to my heart from there. So it kind of all worked out from then.
Smart man.
Lucky. We heard of love birds. Now we got love dogs. Okay, that's good to know. Put that one in the
Oh,
notebook
yeah,
for
I
later. That's good.
Do anything for a dog.
That's right.
So how are you adjusting to Texas life? Do you still hang out in Arizona, or where's the home base for you now?
Yeah, that's kind of up in the air right now. I mean, I still call Arizona my home, but probably next year we've got a date set for next October. Probably move down next year, maybe earlier, depending on some stuff back at home in Arizona. But I've got a 2-year-old lab in Arizona, so she's the main reason I go home, just to visit her and then come back out here to race, because it's too hot in Arizona to race. It's like 115 to 120, but it's a dry heat, so it's not as bad as here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And we're complaining.
But
yeah, we're complaining about the heat around here. So talk about the Morris family. I mean, Nick. I mean, obviously Chris. But just good people. I mean, and the whole story there with Chris. I mean, what a story that is. But that's just really good folks that love what they do, and man, that's what this sport is all about.
Yeah, I remember. Maybe I don't even know when it came out, when Chris's story came out. I remember it's going all over Facebook, and I was sitting at my desk at my job listening to it, and I was like, well, that's the way to live life right there. So kind of always had a lot of respect for him even before I met him. So to meet him and his dad in Yuma, and then to meet his mom and sister when I came out to Texas last year for the first time, they're definitely the family I'd always want to be with and call my own family. So I'm definitely grateful to have them in my life now.
Well, you're about to, my friend. You're about to call them.
Actually, Chris was actually on.
Awesome.
He was actually on Texas Country Reporter yesterday afternoon, or yesterday morning out of Austin, out of the program in Austin. So I had like 2 or 3 people text me and like, "Hey, do you know this guy Chris Morris?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've had him on the show before and talked to him in the racetrack in person when he wins." So I thought that was kind of a cool deal. In terms of Chris, talk about Chris's development as a race car driver for what he had to go through to the way it is now. When Roddy and I announced the races that Chris is running, and we don't make it a special point to talk about his injury, we make it a point to talk about how good of a damn racer he is. I mean, that's his ability in that race car has just been, it's when people find out about it, it makes what he's able to do in that race car even that much more special.
Yeah, I don't know how he does it. I drove his car. I backed it out of the shop one night, and I think I almost hit 10 different things. And I was like, this is too much to think about. Like, I like my pedals. I couldn't do what he's doing, but, I mean, he figured it out, and that's, I mean, even my dad, I mean, he's raced for 40 years, and he watched him at Vegas for the first time officially when we were dating last year, and he's like, I don't know how he does it. I couldn't learn that stuff, but he figured it out, and I mean, he loves it. That's kind of all that matters. Yeah,
that's exactly right. So, Brenda, what's on tap for you? I mean, that's kind of my go-to question as we get to the end of the year. Obviously, racing the 94 car there, is that specifically what you'll do for the rest of the year here in Texas? You have stuff in Arizona. What's the rest of the year look like for you?
Right now it's kind of up in the air. Chris is looking to sell the car that I've been driving,
hell.
which is fine because then I get a newer car once he gets a new one, so I'm okay with it. But I've got Arizona starts back up Labor Day weekend, so I'm racing in California in 2 weeks at one of my favorite tracks I've ever ran, and my dad loves going there because he gets to see all of his old sprint car buddies, and then
love it.
We start up Labor Day weekend in Arizona, and that's a 2-day show, and I like going back there. That's where I got my first official modified win, so I always love going back there. It's about 4 hours from where I live now, so it's kind of a haul, but definitely worth the drive. And after that, I don't really know. It's kind of up in the air right now. I know we're going to try and hit some of the bigger shows in Arizona and Nevada at the November-ish, but until then, I kind of just have a couple races planned out.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff. Congratulations on that man, that was so cool to watch. I wasn't able to be there, but I sat there and watched that, and I'm like, yes, I love that. I mean, that was cool. You beat a great field of modified drivers, and continued success to you and the team, and whatever you're doing moving forward. Thanks for jumping on with us, Brenda. It's been so cool to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a blast.
Absolutely. Hope to talk to you soon.
Okay, sounds good.
You bet. There she is, Brenda Kirby. And that is a thing, you know, when she won that race there at Waco, I think there were a lot of folks who are like, whoa. But if you look, she's quite accomplished.
Yeah, she's an accomplished racer.
Yeah.
It's not like it was something
Yeah.
brand new out of the box.
Yeah, that was, and I mean, it all came together for her. I mean, it was just a great night for her to put it all together. And that was the neatest part for me, was that she beat a really good field of modifieds and kicked their ass. I mean, not just beat them, but she took off. And I mean, whatever the case is, I mean, she beat some good dudes. And Eric Tomlinson, who is one of the best, you know, racers that you're going to find in a modified at Heart of Texas Speedway, he was all over the backside of that of her car, and she just beat him, and that's cool. That's really cool. Super exciting to see. But congratulations there to Brenda Kirby. This has been a great show with Jeffrey Abbey checking in, and of course Ryan Kuhn, and talking to the guys up north and at Oxford 250. And that I do want to ask you about that, Bobby, before we dive, you know, out of this thing. But I love when we talk to the guys, when they talk about that whole conversation about the up north versus south, and to hear him talking about with the money down south. You know, it's really weird, because obviously you've got the big money races down south, but those guys, they do it all week long. And you asked them about that. I mean, to go racing on a Wednesday, how crazy is that? I mean, tonight for the dirt track race, I mean, that we were talking about, the Front Row Challenge. I mean, that's in Iowa, and they're racing on a Monday night. I mean, damn, we can't. Anyway, I'm not getting into that, but that's what it's all about.
It is crazy to think one of these days we'll get back to racing all the time like they do everywhere else. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. Hey, don't forget, guys. Don't forget about our YouTube channel. We're up to 107 subscribers, which doesn't sound like a lot.
We need that times 2.
But we need that kind of upped a little bit, because we're looking at doing some promotional stuff with YouTube to try to get the channel numbers up a little bit over there. So the higher the channel numbers are over there, the more fun stuff we can do with our friends at YouTube.
Tell your friends, tell people you don't even like.
That's right.
To check in right there. And the best way to find that channel, besides going to YouTube, is revvedupsportshow.tv. That's going to take you right there. All the replays, everything is right there. I'm excited about this weekend. I'm going to Mobile, weather permitting. I have no idea how to judge weather over there, because it's like, oh man, we're never going to race, and it's totally fine. But again, you've got a great weekend with all the regular tracks that you have between the Big O and Devil's Bowl and all the stuff up north, and then of course down south you've got the Race Ranch. And it's back to school night there for Owen. He's going to have another great show right there. Cotton Bowl Speedway, they will have their night number 2 of the shootout series. So there's plenty of, and you know, we've talked about streaming and all that. That's great. I mean, it's a great way to not go to the racetrack. I know it's hot.
It's a great way to consume it, but nothing beats being there live.
That's right. Go to one of these racetracks and check this stuff out, because you got a lot of folks that are doing a lot of work behind the scenes to get you to the racetrack, and then you got the Tom series. They're going to be at Kennedale. It's $1,500 to win for the modifieds on that card as well. So go support these tracks, and then use the streaming as a alternative if you can't get there. Get out there. They're moving their starting times out a little bit further. I mean, I know it's hot. But just go out there. Just be a part of the excitement that is, short track racing in person.
Mm-hmm.
In person,
Mm-hmm.
You cannot beat it in person.
It is a fun deal. Live, you know. We enjoy our media partners at Race on Texas and Racing America, but nothing beats being there live. While you get to watch the race in action and hear us talk, nothing at home replaces that rumble in the seat.
That's right. And I do want to give a big shout out to Hardy Henderson. As he goes, he takes a big modified up there and he wins at I-37. He beat a stout field of modifieds right there. I think he beat Stevie. He beat Stevie Whitaker. So for Hard Time Hardy Henderson, that in the 163, that's one of the diehards that has done this for a long time. For him to go out there, take the trip up, he took the trip from Killeen all the way to Pleasanton.
That's a long way. Would it been an all-star qualifier night, though,
it was. Fast Shaps, yep, all-star qualifier. So great for him. I mean, that's what it's all about right there. And I love to see that because Hardy's one of those dudes. He's been doing it a long time. Hell, I saw him race asphalt at Speedorama. It's been that long.
He ran his modified at Speedorama.
Way back when. He
on
ran
the Sunday shows back in the day.
And he ran one of Donnie Moore's super stocks and one of the super stock Mustangs back in those days. So,
wow. He's been around a long time.
Yeah, good show. Thanks to Jeffrey Abbey. Thanks to Ryan Kuhn. Thank you, Brenda Kirby, the very accomplished Brenda Kirby, for jumping in on the show. Find a short track. If you can't, find a streamer that's going to pay money back to a racetrack so you help the cause.
That's right.
What you got? Right. What you got this weekend?
I'm having my people contact the people at the race ranch to finalize the deal to go down and announce at the race ranch this upcoming weekend for Samesford Back to School Bash.
Heard it first.
Not finalized, but still working on it.
That's right. We are back next Monday. #Real Race Talk. All of the archives at Rev'dUpSportsShow.com. You guys be well. We're doing it again next Monday. Be nice to someone. You never know what they're going through. You're going to feel better as well afterwards. We gone.